Hey, this is Chuck, and you are listening to Fans with Bands, the podcast where we talk to the fans and the bands they dig about life, music, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Today on Fans with Bands, we are talking to Cavalcade. Check it out. Hey, this is Chuck with Fans with Bands, and I am talking to Brad, Sean, and Cale from Cavalcade. How you guys doing?
Good. Very good.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Good.
And we have fans.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being on. And we have got one of their fans, Jacob. Jacob, how you doing, man?
You know, I'm doing great. It's just a thrill to be here.
Awesome, man. That's fantastic.
He's you know, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but he's also our legal counsel. So, you know,
awesome.
Yeah, we like to bring him into every interview just to make sure, you know, we don't overstep our bounds or, you know, bring any trademark products in or, you know, show any logos we shouldn't or anything like that, you know, so.
What was that, Sean?
Sometimes.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Oh, fellow.
So I think the very first time I saw you guys was at Berserker, like Berserker 3, I think maybe it was.
Yeah.
And then I didn't see you again until the I think it was the very last Oig Fest, right, at Max.
Both fun shows.
Both fun. And I remember both times and distinctly the first time I saw you guys, because I don't think I didn't really know you guys really at all. And I was listening to you and I'm like, this is a fucking trip. These guys it's heavy, but like there's like this crazy jazzy new wave kind of thing going on. And then like these black metal vocals. And I'm like, what in the fuck is happening here? And it was like this kind of
mission achieved
horror. Yeah, it was like a horror movie acid trip is kind of what I was thinking of. And so I'm wondering how you guys would describe your music.
See, I don't know if you noticed this, but we use something from one of your reviews of one of those sets as our bio on Instagram. Just because I liked it so much. Yeah, I think it was like the Stanley Clark meets Neurosis on acid or something like that, which I felt was pretty appropriate. But yeah, so it's funny that you should ask that because it's like we totally actually like jacked your description before. I don't think at least from the start, we never really put much thought into it. Like that Berserker set, Craig and I used to play in a punk band that played with Sean Knight from Child Bite's old like indie band. And so he, you know, he helped out a lot, like giving us on a pretty good spot for us on that show because, you know, as you know, from watching us, whereas we can fit in with a lot of different bills with the many different types of genres that we touch on, we also can alienate a lot of like metal shows that are like very straight up the middle. So I think he had us, I can't even remember, like he had us between a couple good acts for us to fit in there. So, you know, I think that we got to meet some more people that were a little more adventurous like yourself and stuff that night. So that was a fun time. But yeah, no, none of this is, I don't think any of this was really by design. Like we all just, we all played in all types of different bands and then just wanted to be in something with like our best friends, just because, you know, when you're in bands for a long time, you know, sometimes there can be some interesting times, you know, like interesting personalities, like maybe you mesh with people musically early on and maybe not as much personally down the line and stuff like that. Not that I had anything that dramatic, but, you know, I've known Craig and Brad since, you know, we were kids and stuff. So we grew up around the same place and we're all born within the same 2 weeks, which is really strange too. But Sean recorded us early on and didn't hate it. Like he got it. So like I'm so stoked that he's along for the ride. So I'm done.
Cool thing that I had started recording these guys, and of course they sent me demos, and I was like, okay, it's noisy, sludgy shit. When I started recording it, I realized that like there's a different guitar play that I've never really heard before. So I was kind of like, man, this can be really ugly or it can be really pretty. You know, it's like a borderline there, and I was always interested from that point on. So then when the singer thing came along, I was like, dude, I'm down, because I've never heard anything like this, you know. So I was really intrigued by just what the fuck was going on, because I've played music all my life, you know, and you can go, okay, you listen to a band and go, hey, the bass is doing that, the guitar is doing that.
Yep.
But this one, I was kind of like, well, wait, who's doing what? You know, and I've been with them for like 8 years, you know, and I still have moments where I'm like, I don't get it, dude. You know, and because I've recorded them, but it's like, that's what I like about it, is it keeps the ether fucking weird, and there's always kind of something that like makes it go, what? But that, you know, like that's what I like about it, because I think if I was just gonna do the same shit I've always been doing, I'd be done with music by now, you know, because it was just, I needed something that challenges me, and I thought these guys challenged me. So that's my thing, was always like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I don't understand it, but I like it. That was my glue to the whole thing, you know, like I'm down, you know, if I'm just your producer, you know.
Awesome.
Coming from all different directions, I think that like when we started to, there was an element of like, let's throw out some weird parlor tricks or try something different, just because you know, like we were all playing really different stuff, I think, when we all started, and it was interesting to try to you know, rather than like look at each other's hands and just see what the other person's playing, and then just doing that, especially like as a 2-guitar band. We thought it'd be really funny to well, I don't know, interesting, funny, maybe, to play in B, F sharp, and E, to kind of do the sevenths and fifths sort of thing. Whereas like if you saw someone else where they were at on there and like went to the same place, it's going to be more of like a harmony or you know, something weird like that, rather than you know, just kind of playing the same thing. But I think rather than just playing harmonies, we kind of like went off the map a little bit because of all that. So the interesting thing is that like between the 3-string instruments, and it's never really conscious. We just like write songs together and stuff. But like we'll write a song and then I'd be like, oh wow, I just really fell into the pocket of being the bass line on that one, you know. And I have the highest tune instrument in this band, but it still sounds like a bass line. So so yeah, like we just kind of trade off roles that way without trading instruments, and it's really a fun time.
So Brad, how would you describe the music that you're making in Cavalcade?
The weird thing to me is it doesn't seem that weird. It all comes out naturally, that I'm like, when some people's telling me it's so weird, I'm like, there's a song structure. What are you talking about? Like, it's not, I'm trying to think, like, you know, it's not like Phantomus or, you know, Phantomus or something like that.
We really do use the pop song structure. There's a lot of verse, chorus, bridge, chorus sort of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I mean, like, unabashedly, Paul McCartney's like, you know, kind of like, you know, everyone trashes him, you know, and it's just like, I don't know. I love that song structure, but also keeping it weird, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think you were hitting on, go ahead, Brad, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was to say, I've seen far more stranger and weirder bands in like Lansing and basement shows, and like, but I think it is the dichotomy of just where people, it is a little bit different with the black metal vocals, and Sean also throws in clean vocals as well, which has been awesome to see him develop into that, and has a hell of a great voice. And but then, you know, we add the keys and just different instruments, and I think people are just like, what are you trying to do? Because some people are like, this is just the setup. This is your punk setup. This is your black metal setup. This is your stoner metal setup. And we just kind of like, okay, this is what we did. So,
I was going to say, I think Cale hit it and I hadn't thought about it until just now when you were talking about it, in the fact that, like both of you as guitar players, you're not playing the same things together, right? You're not even trying to do, you know, some kind of octave thing or inversions. You're kind of going off on these tangents, but it all is weaving together. I think that's the thing that people feel weird, because it's like you're used to, you know, guitar, bass, you know, they're chugging along together. Maybe the drummer's doing something, maybe throwing some keyboards to do some kind of weird melody. But you guys are just, it's this crazy. that's what it just feels like to me. Just like this weird weave that kind of comes together. It's wild.
We'll bring it together for a chorus and stuff, you know, like, I mean, when it fits the song, like we'll bring it together and actually ask each other what note they're playing and stuff like that, and like try to meet up a little bit. But I do think that like one of the, like, I don't know if it's like laziness or just what it is, like or just too many people following the rules because no one really wants to, you know, I feel like, whereas like there's a lot more options now, you can open things up a lot more. A lot of people still try to kind of like play it safe, or you know, anytime. It's rare to, I'll put it this way, it's rare to see like a 2-guitar band, much rarer than I ever thought it would be, like when I was younger and like my dad was playing his classic rock records with you know, 2 different guitars, just like really like splitting your like brain in half, you know, and like you have to kind of follow both sides. You know, you see a lot more people just with 2 guitars, either using it to kind of thicken things up, which is a totally, you know, I mean, works to great effect. And I don't have anything against it. And then and if not that, then it's like sort of the classical, you know, rhythm and lead guitar sort of thing. And it's really funny when people have been like, you know, like people doing sound or whatever, like which one's the rhythm guitarist, which one's the lead guitarist, and Brad and I's like brains break a little bit. Like, I don't know. Like it changed a lot. Like we never really thought about it like that. It was just kind of like, how can you complement the other person, you know?
Yeah, that's cool.
I think
awesome.
To get back to the thing of what we probably could consider ourselves, someone called us once black metal grunge.
We do love the loud, soft, loud dynamic, you know. I almost to the point that I'm a little bit ashamed sometimes. I'm just like, maybe we should try it, but I don't know. It's so effective. It's so good.
We need to just write out fucking open like black jammer and go blow their fuck. You know?
Oh, I love trend picking. So yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tempt me with a good. Don't threaten me with a good time.
So Fans with Bands is about, you know, the bands and the fans, and so I want to make sure I give some time to Jacob. So Jacob, do you have any questions for these guys? Oh, you're muted, buddy.
Actually, my first question's for you, Chuck. Is this video going to be anywhere online? Because I'm playing Big Trouble in Little China behind me.
That's an awesome movie. Fantastic. No, I'm a lazy bastard as far as the video, so I'll just be using audio for the podcast.
Cool.
There will be a thing on YouTube, but there'll be no copyright.
Yeah, I was gonna say, probably with your head in front of it, there's not gonna be any AI picking up on what you're.
It leaves a lot to the imagination. So I guess you know, one thing I think about, because I have a list of questions that I keep for Cavalcade at all times, is, you know, I think about, I've seen you guys in concert over, I think maybe 8 years now, and I probably have heard These Bastard Years from you guys consistently, like from your first album Into Bolivian. And I always wondered about, like, is there anything special about that song that's had a lot of lasting power for you guys? I know you still play other things from Into Bolivian, but I probably heard These Bastard Years the most. So that's my question.
Please tell me this is not a pre-prepared thing that I already knew the answer to, because I swear we've had this discussion at some point. Don't throw us softballs, Jacob. Mix it up.
All right.
No, I don't know if you actually, like, I can't remember if we actually had that discussion, but that was actually Brad and I, when we were much younger, played in a band together called Rosemary, and that was actually like These Bastard Years was a set of riffs that I had for that band, but then we kind of broke up and I never really got to use it for anything, because I was kind of in like different types of bands after, like more like punk bands where, you know, I try and bring that there and they're like, why are you playing so slow? But you know, I'm just like, because I've been listening to Sleep constantly, even though I'm in like punk bands right now. But yeah, no, yeah, that was a song that, and so when I started when I started playing with our first drummer, Funeral, it's just his nickname is Funeral, so we'll leave it at Funeral. Great dude. We used to practice in his basement, which we called the Funeral Parlor. But I just kind of had like a standing jam with him, which was just like to kind of get some of these like riffs out of my system. And then that kind of is what became this band. So he and I were already kind of jamming on that when I was like, well, you know, Brad was willing to come, and I don't know, Brad, you can kind of take it from there.
It was
How
pretty
you
much
joined
like
the
the
band,
first.
how you joined the band, and we wrote that song. So
Pretty much that was the first jam, and the one that kind of got solidified as a song. And then we got John Bruce in, it got more solidified, and I don't know, it kind of became I don't know if I should say anthem, but it's something that like when you're playing a house show or Max, it's just a good, dirty, sludgy song. And it just, the way the lyrics go and everything, it just like, I don't know, it just fits that kind of like underdog punker vibe that persists in Michigan. That I don't know. There's something that always just reminds me of like, that's just kind of Cavalcade. So
yeah, no, that's it's funny because our original singer left for like basically he was taking over kind of helping his dad out with the company he was running and stuff. So he had a really good opportunity to move out to Boston and do that. And so we were kind of at like this inflection point where it was like, you know, we do a lot of different things. All of us, I mean, like as much as all of us love metal, like we all have a lot of love for like post-punk, new wave type stuff and darker, but like also prettier type stuff. And it's just really easy for us to write that in that sort of territory too. So I think there was this thought of like, when he left, it's like, do we get a different type of thing? We actually like had a few people like pop up and say like they'd be interested in working with us, and some were female singers, and we're like, we could just take this a whole different direction and do something different, like different band name, but like Craig and Brad and I still really wanted to play together. Chris was in the fold at that point, and was, you know, kind of in the same boat that we were. So it was just like, at that point, I think the funny thing about These Bastard Years is like that was part of like a set of songs at the time where it was, I think with Sean saying, you know, after he had recorded us, he totally got it. We, you know, get along with him great. It was really hard to first of all picture like being like, no, we're going to do something different. Like since he had sort of stated his interest, but also I think another big thing was that like, we were like, man, I still want to keep playing these songs, even though we'd been playing them, you know, I don't know, 5-6 years at that point. Like I could build a house and live in the groove in the chorus of that song. So like, it's just, I don't, you know, obviously we take breaks from it and stuff, but like that one will probably keep getting thrown in as long as we're around.
It's like our Seek and Destroy or something, right? Like Metallica, they play.
Yeah.
Like, but it's fucking. It's
exactly. Yeah.
Dirty. It's got breakdown that you can go, what the fuck are they doing? And it comes back and smacks you in the face. It's all the things that makes music, you know.
Especially when you're recording that breakdown, you're like, what the fuck are they doing? We re-recorded that just as a lark for 15 years later, and like it was so funny trying to explain to him what's going on in the middle of that, and I'm just like, I can't even like hit it the same way I did.
For how long, and I still was like, what the fuck is going on there? Got it, but man, it took a minute where I was like, I didn't realize the identity that was going on there, you know. In the midst of playing it live, you're just like, yeah, it's just he's doing that. When you start breaking down into time.
Well, the funny thing we realize is that our second drummer, John Bruce, is like more kind of like that Fugazi school. So he's a little jazzy and stuff. So like, but also like, whereas like Chris knows us pretty well and is assertive enough to take part in the songwriting process. Like John definitely like reined us in and like helped structure songs and stuff, but it was a little less vocal thing. And I definitely think that song is a really good example of a part that like rhythmically, like we were doing something that didn't make any sense and we played with two drummers that totally let us get away with it and just worked around it. So like listening back on that and like, you know, being with Chris, who like, where it's like, okay, we can't get away with being crappy anymore. You know, it's just like he played it straight through, and I'm like, why is my part not working anymore? And I was like, wow, John Bruce really just like just made this work, even though I was like missing a beat somewhere along the line. So it's funny to like go back and see this stuff and be like, why didn't he say something? Like I would have taken it like personally.
To see, like, Chris has like a Ringo vibe to him that, like, I don't know who to compare John Bruce to, but it's like Chris has this like, okay, this is what we're doing right now. This is how it feels, you know? Whereas John Bruce is like, it's this every freaking time, you know? And I think that's cool because when we play it, we can take that middle part and go, yep, we're going to slow it down to where you think we can't play any slower. What the fuck, you know? Or we just play straight through it, you know? The feeling of the room, you know? That's what I like about Chris is he's like, I'm going to be spontaneous and you follow me. And we have spots like that where he'll do that, where he'll just go, okay, today, right now, it's going to be like this. We rock that, you know, or we take it down and build it back up, you know, and it's fun because it keeps that spontaneity, you know what I mean? That's what's cool.
Yeah.
Songs. Sometimes they'll play it straight through like it's always been. And sometimes they'll come to that breakdown and just go, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's just, fuck, the room just deadens, you know, because it's so fucking slow. It's fun.
It's a funny story, actually. Like, is it? Yeah, it's These Bastard Years. So we got to tour with Down at one point, and so like, you know, we're playing in front of a lot more people than we usually do, and like, when you have parts in your song that are like really kind of meant to like give the audience like this like moment of like pregnant pause or something like that. Like it's one thing to play that in like a club, you know, maybe a club where a lot of people know you, maybe they don't know you, but it's like, you know, we're used to being on a little bit more like adventurous bills or whatever. So playing there, like we have this part where like is based on like our response actually for a long, I don't really do this as much anymore because I'm not quite as much of I'm a little less of a angry adult than I was like, you know, 10 years ago or whatever. But, like I would really, depending on like how the crowd was and how much I thought it would annoy them, like I had the ability to, when everything cut out, just like play that like one note per like 18 seconds essentially, like done, you know, like even slower than that. And so like with that show, like there was actually a lot of people into it, but there was some people like shouting some stuff, as you might imagine. Anyone that's coming to see a Phil Anselmo band and you know is getting some crap that's not Phil Anselmo ahead of time, like, you know, they're gonna react like that.
Fucking get off the stage, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to take them on an adventure and see how long I can get away with playing just like these one notes. So I'm like doing this and I'm like sidestepping like bottles that are being thrown at me and stuff. And like one finally hit me and then I'm like, okay, da, 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 da. Like, we'll move on.
That's awesome. Jacob, got any other questions you want to ask?
Frantically searching my Google Drive right now.
I got a question, and you know, I saw the Quarantine EP, which I loved, and I gotta know, how did In Excess make it into the covers that you would do, and that song in particular, Never Tear Us Apart? I mean, it's really well done. I mean, it's not like
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
a butchery of that song, but it retains the integrity of the song, but it has your take of it. And I was just kind of shocked. I was like, you know, I'd never really thought of you guys in Excess, although after I heard the song, I thought, you know, this kind of fits. So I was curious, where did that come from?
There's kind of a like a easy answer to that one, and then there's kind of a less easy answer to that one that I'm going to throw it over to Brad for. So the reason we started playing that show is we got asked to play when Fusion Shows was doing shows in Lansing, we got asked to play one of their cover sets. And rather than cover just one band at that time, and it was an interesting time for us too, because it was when we still had our old singer, but Chris had just joined the band as our drummer. So like he was kind of still learning the Cavalcade songs, and we were like practicing with him on those. But we were like, this could be kind of interesting to. Craig had mentioned something about like knowing some friends of his that had like sort of done this Donnie Darko set, and is much criticism as that movie gets for its convoluted plot or whatever at this point. It's got some good acting performances or whatever. I won't trash it myself. Yeah, it's
a great movie.
I get like whatever where people are coming from it on both sides, but at the same time, it's got an amazing soundtrack. And like I mentioned before, we all really like a lot of post-punk and new wave type stuff. So yeah, we went to take songs off that soundtrack and just do a set like that, well dressed like characters from the movie, and then make a Craig and I's punk band prior to this was like a big spectacle sort of thing. So like there was legitimately like 20 plus members in it, and it was just this goofy thing that we'd make like things for, and we'd like script sets around like watching Clue and stuff like that. We didn't practice in like 10 years, so we played the same song every set, but the thing was that we do something different every set. So coming from that space, we made a jet engine pinata full of candy. So like at the end of the movie, a jet engine falls down. At the end of our set, we had a jet engine explode and candy went all over. And probably like most things we do, no one really got it entirely, but we covered a whole grip of new wave songs for that. I think the only one that we picked from the soundtrack that didn't work out was Notorious by Duran Duran. Because it turns out there's bass on that, and then there's like bass synth, and I think like we were trying to do both on the bass, and it was just like Craig was just dying. So then we finally realized later on what was going on. So but yeah, so that's where some of those new wave covers came from. We did Killing Moon, Never Tear Us Apart, and that recording in Never Tear Us Apart was actually like right after Sean joined the band. We did a version of that like over at the Good Time Gang House, and like Tommy recorded it, and I just didn't even realize that was still floating around. So we Sean mixed it and made it sound pretty, and we put it on that EP. So we had a couple Tears for Fears songs from that we could probably still bust out,
Mad World
with a little practice.
Awesome.
Mad World. We did Under the Milky Way by The Church, I think, also, and yeah, I think that pretty much. Oh no, we did Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division, and it sucks because I love Joy Division, and we just massacred that. It was so bad. It was so bad live. Like that whole set was like way better than it should have been. I was in the bunny suit, and I couldn't see it all. So like, it was because we all tried to dress like different characters from the movie, and I drew that straw. So yeah, it was interesting, but yeah, that's probably so kind of like on the new wave tip. Like Brad had a night that he was telling us about his musical preferences. That kind of was at the beginning of us like starting to think about the new wave and post punk thing. But yeah, I'll let him tell you about that. About the night you were talking about. I think people were talking about High on Fire, and somehow you got onto new wave from there.
Oh no, it was rock and roll. I told Horkey I liked rock far more than metal.
Oh, I thought it was new wave. How did that story get like moved into like I love new wave far more than metal, far more? Just like I don't know. That's the version I always heard for some reason.
People just started throwing it in because it was just this ridiculous thing because of liking so much metal, but they just started throwing in like whatever topic I was on that week. If I was on a Lily Allen kick, like Brad likes Lily Allen far more than metal. So people just started like, or if I was on a Yaya's kick, they're like,
I saw your
Yaya's more than like the food place Yaya's. And Just insert whatever.
I saw your comment, Jacob, and this had already telephoned itself in a new way by the time I heard it, I'm sure. So I'm sure of that. But yeah, I think the reason I associate with High on Fire, and that makes a lot more sense then, is I think that's when they released their more like sort of Motorheady type album, and you were like digging on it, and other people were like, oh wow, that's a big change or whatever. But
Yeah, for High on Fire. Yeah, I love High on Fire.
Oh
though.
yeah. So
but
good.
but
Yeah.
Sean, what was, so you came in and that cover was one of the first things you recorded with us, I think. So
Yeah.
do you remember that, or?
Yeah, well, we actually rehearsed it a couple times. I think we even played it live, and that was before I started playing keys. But it was like it was the first time I realized it was a waltz. You know, you guys 1 2 3 1 2.
1 2 3.
Yeah.
6/4, yeah.
So it's all this. It was kind of like I just thought it was a good. You guys have really recorded it well with GTG, and I was just like, man, I can put vocals to this, no problem. And I think when it came down to putting it on the EP, it was just kind of like, man, this has been laying around. This is pretty good. You know, like, why don't we do something with it? You know, so it's at least acknowledging the, you know, the legacy of Cavalcade, you know, because we do a lot of cool covers, man. Sometimes they don't get fucking documented, you know. We got, I mean, Cale talking about the Donnie Darko thing. We have a version of Killing Moon we recorded. We just haven't finished it, you know, and it's one of those things where that song for some reason has been hard vocally for me. I don't know why, but I think it's because the Cavalcade tuning changed.
We play it in a different tuning, or else I would have to use a capo like way up the neck on the guitar. Being in
What's weird about the tuning is, you know, that some songs they can play exactly same notes. Sometimes they gotta like figure out how it works for what they're doing, you know. So it makes it even more interesting, I think, as a cover.
Yeah.
And I hope sometime we can get that finished, because it sounds great. It's just,
yeah, we've got that. We've got a Nirvana cover we're sitting on. Oh, hold on. This is my favorite part of Big Trouble in Little China, when Cavalcade's playing. Sorry, in the background. I just noticed that Jacob's background switched from Big Trouble in Little China to us somehow. So.
Oh yeah. And where is that at? Is that at the Loving Touch?
It's at the Pyramid Scheme. It was from
Pyramid Scheme.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
okay.
just about almost 3 weeks ago, right?
Oh shit! Awesome.
Around
Fantastic.
2-3 weeks ago. That first show back for Pyramid Scheme too, and all the bands.
Yeah.
One big.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a night.
It was a cool experience. I didn't even realize this when they asked us. My mom lived in Grand Rapids growing up, and I didn't necessarily live out there most of the time, but you know, I got to meet a lot of people in bands out there, and my friend Derek plays drums in Charles the Osprey, and he asked us to like play this for show back because Pyramid Scheme had them, you know, set up the show, because, and this is what I found out actually when we were there, is that they played the first show ever at the Pyramid Scheme.
Oh.
So
really?
So it was awesome to have us back. Like, I didn't understand the significance of things coming full circle and them doing that.
Yeah.
But it was
Reopening
really
it.
cool for them to have us there for that.
Awesome. So, Jacob, did you think of some other questions?
Yeah, I have a question for Craig. What is the history of him and just finding all sorts of noise-making toys to include? Because like I was combing through all my pictures and I found this clip, and of course he's slamming this thing that has like a source topper.
Is he here?
Attached to a cable.
Are you on the call, Craig?
I mean,
No,
he's
he's
not. So it's gonna just can you guys give a history of Craig and these noise-making toys? Did they exist with Cavalcade from the beginning? When did he decide that bass wasn't enough for him and he just needed something else to distract him?
Brad knew him first, and I feel like this could go all the way back to his childhood. So I'm like,
Please.
I feel like this would be his response. I don't know, man. I just like making noise.
Yeah, that's exactly what Craig would say, and it's why I don't want an answer from him. Please, you guys witnessed
He
it.
likes toys.
God damn it.
I think he thinks he's not a good bass player too, which is dumb. He's actually great, but so he like throws all this other stuff because it's like I mean I get it too. Like I've been that auxiliary guy in other bands and stuff, and I'm like, well, you know, the fact I can't play this one instrument great, like maybe if I play a lot of them, you know, like I can't say that's necessarily where he's coming from. But yeah, definitely like he likes toys, and I mean I get it. I like them too, except most of mine are just on my pedal board. So
Half the time when I record, Craig, when it comes to recording stuff for Cavalcade, it's always he busts out all these toys, and like, I'm like, well, do you want to track? You know, like I don't know what to record, and there's times to bust stuff out with it, and we're like, why was our Bush record? Fuck, you know, that was really good.
Oh,
So he has like these throw it at the wall kind of an effect with it, you know, where he's like, I found this. Let me see what I can do for this song with it, you know. So it's another experimental edge that we do. So it's like you hear the recording and it's done this way, but Craig will have some weird toy that he figured out how to put it in the song. There you go, you know. So
I also gotta kind of blame our friends from Kalamazoo and that band Brown Company. We play with this band Brown Company from Kalamazoo a lot, which our friend Todd Karanen, who plays bass in Jack Pine Snag, and Sean is jammed with him before and some stuff, and I put out one of his old band's records and stuff. So just a guy we've known for a long time, and we were playing a show in Kalamazoo, or was it in Lansing or Kalamazoo, Brad, that we first played with them? I think it was in Kalamazoo, right?
I would think so. I don't remember exactly. I don't remember how the connection came to me. I thought it was through Ben Boggs, but I don't. All of a sudden they were there, and we were nuts because the guitarist used to be in Violent Apathy. Bowser,
Ben booked them. Yeah, that's right. Ben booked them, and then Todd is the one who told us that like we'd be a good fit with them because they like make their own instruments.
But that's how Craig's band feeds into Craig's.
Yeah. Dick Bowser from Violent Apathy, like a Lansing like hardcore legend, is in that band. So that's awesome. But then like the other members of that band, like a couple of them, especially Brad in that band, like makes his own noise instruments, and I think that was a big thing for Craig. Like you could see him the first time we played with him, like just like the gears like spinning in his head and stuff. So
I feel like teasing on a Grand Rapids is like that too, where like Zach sees what is being brought to the table, and which is really, it says a lot about like the scene of being in bands years ago, and there's kind of the metal, and there's always been a great scene here in Michigan, but there's always kind of the metal circles, and like me and Sean ran around in that with Genesaya and Summon, and the punk circles are there. But now there's like, especially there's definitely in Detroit here, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, like the weirder bands that are kind of bringing the punk and metal and sometimes folk into it, in like these more diverse bills, where it's fantastic. It's just all these things kind of coming together, and it's not really obvious. You're gonna have your bills that are in, some should just be like, okay, this makes sense for the night, these 4 death metal bands or these 4 like thrash, but you just start noticing more and more bills that are just kind of more diverse, and more bands just doing different things and stuff. And like Conrad Twitty band out of Grand Rapids, I don't really know how to explain them at all. Like I think they're even way great bands.
Like they're like heavy Beach Boys. They're like noise rock Beach Boys. Like I don't even know how to put it better.
I'm gonna have to check that out. That sounds wild.
They're killer band.
Yeah, like I love playing with noise bands because it's like we can fit in, but also it's like, wow, we're not the weirdest band here, so that's kind of cool.
Awesome. And so we've had Ben join. Ben, are you there? Can you hear us? You're mute.
Yeah. Hey guys.
Hey.
What's going on?
So I should mention, just because they're both here before Ben gets started, these are like really probably like the 6th and 7th Cavalcade members anyway, so it's a good thing they're here. our last record, they both contributed heavily on various instruments.
Sonic-
So I used to
on the-
play like saxophone on some of our stuff on like our first and second record. But also my saxophone broke, and I don't know if you've ever taken a saxophone in to get fixed, but it's very expensive. And if you're not like playing it that seriously, it's really kind of not worth it. So I kind of miss like having saxophone on the record, and like Ben played some saxophone on our last record.
On the
and
Sonic
I feel like,
Euthanasia album?
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sonic Euthanasia. And I felt like he like asked me like what I wanted him to do, and I was just like trying to explain it to him, and it's just like, wow, yeah, like the way like I'm picturing this is like so hard to explain, but he pieced together all my nonsense and like made it work, and so that was awesome. And then Jacob played cello on it, so on a couple songs.
Really?
So
Awesome.
yeah,
Fantastic. That's a great album, by the way.
Very cool
I,
stuff.
I loved it.
Thank
Loved
you.
it.
oh
Thank
thank
you.
you. We're so fortunate to know so many talented people that like can put up with us long enough to come and record some stuff. So
Or like, I get the dumb idea. Let's do this, you know?
Yeah.
Awesome. So Ben, did you have any questions for these guys?
No, I just wanted to like stop in and say hey, and
Awesome.
I think I'm like within the running. Like I think that Jacob probably takes the title, but I think I'm like within the running of being one of the Cavalcade super fans. So like I just kind of had to like show up and like flex that top fan badge today,
you guys are fighting it out.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. Well,
it's funny because I do consider you guys like, I mean, you guys are, if there was a 6th and 7th member, it would be you guys. I mean, you probably have to fight for that 6th position, but
Maybe.
we'll hold that contest at a later show.
Yeah, 6th and 7th would be cool, but if you're only taking 6th, I guess it's just gonna have to be one of those like bare knuckles backyard wrestling barbecue fights.
Oh, so you're like going further. You're gonna be like 5th or 4th. Like you're gonna fight me and Brad too, or
like tryouts. You know what I mean? Like brutal tryouts.
our old bands used to play with Ben's old band, 8th Chakra, so we also know he can probably play guitar as well or better than Brad and I. So,
Awesome.
so yeah, I guess we may have to fight him too.
Nice. And looks like Chuck is joining, but he's connecting the audio right now.
I love
So-
that he's like being cool and like getting the cigarette in.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck, can you hear us?
No.
Chuck? Chuck, can you hear us? Hello, Chuck. You got a great first name, buddy.
Boy, destroy.
Got a couple of Chucks here.
Yeah.
What in the world are you showing us, Ben? What is this?
Chucktastic. Well, yeah. I love
Ben's got this great series of like anyone that goes on vacation, he manages to turn them into a action figure.
I was just gonna say.
You want to do a video?
His
with this
visuals are so sick.
video.
Yeah.
Video.
Hey, Chuck, can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. How you doing, man?
How's it going, buddy?
So I've been kind of spinning around with the fans. You got any questions for the guys in Cavalcade?
Yeah. When are they coming back to Kentucky so we can play with them again? Because they're one of my favorite bands that we've played with.
Same with you guys.
And Chuck, what band are you in?
I'm in a band called Bastard Sons of a Judas Goat.
All right, awesome.
Nice.
So
Great
what's the answer
band,
to that
great
question,
band.
guys?
We had a ton of fun with them in Louisville.
Awesome.
Hopefully.
Louisville is like our home away from home.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
The scene down there is phenomenal. Hopefully, or like we'll see how this year goes, but definitely next year, definitely get back down. We got to see how everything rolls out for like November. I know we're talking heavily about getting super focused on recording for like December, January, February. And then, but if it doesn't happen somehow this year, it's happening next year. We're going to Louisville. We're coming.
Yes.
We're coming.
Awesome.
To hang and jam with you guys again, man. Well, it was a blast.
Brad, you've become one of my favorite fucking people, dude. So like, I had to get on here for a second, like, distract you all.
Same here. We love you, brother.
Awesome.
Love you. Oh man, it's been awesome getting.
Thanks for checking out.
Cavalcade.
Hopefully we get to play together soon. Like we had a blast with you guys last time we were down there.
Oh yeah, man. You all are awesome. You all, and also it comes down to how awesome you all are. The covers you all choose are perfect.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. We might actually choose to cover a metal band one of these days. But I've been trying to get an Acid Bath cover going like for quite a while.
Acid Bath. There we go.
Yeah. So,
or some shit.
Yeah. I've been playing Pagan Love Song for a long time and like just hoping people will follow along at practice, but we'll see eventually.
I can definitely see you all doing Acid Bath, man. Totally. I totally see you all doing that shit. That'd be cool.
We've actually called ourselves Flaccid Bath in the past. So, we've called ourselves Mackinac Island Sludge. Like there's all kinds of like bullshit we'll give people that like we feel like are not going to get it anyways as a description musically.
Well, the important thing, one thing that I love about you all though, and I'm not meaning to try to take up time, but one thing I've always appreciated about you all is the fact that you all make so many different styles together. And you make it work. And the covers you all choose make it even better. The fact that you add your own little like 2 cents to it. I think it's killer, man. I think you all are badass. I talk about you all the time to all the bands we play with and everything.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for popping in, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, you all are great, man.
Yeah, fan.
We did actually do a whole Cure cover set one time too. So like that's where like some of this other stuff came from. That's been my favorite band since I was like 6. So like Lullaby was actually one of the first songs I ever learned to play on guitar. So like every once in a while, I'll do this thing where I'll like, not like play with my fingers per se, like I'll use a pick, but like I'll cross pick or whatever. And everyone's like, oh, King Crimson, Robert Fripp. And I'm like, I actually learned that by learning how to play Lullaby by The Cure wrong. But I do love King Crimson, but I didn't watch Robert Fripp play guitar enough to know the difference. But I use that in a crap load of our songs now too. So like, I love those bell tones.
Well, it's whenever you you all start using your fingers with drumsticks for the string instruments. And that's when the King Crimson.
Yeah.
That's when it comes in.
So I got a question, a couple questions I'd like to ask, and it's a group participation question, and it's related to what was the first album you bought with your own money, or it could be a gift, like somebody gave it to you. So let's start with Brad. What was the first album you got?
With my own money?
With your own money that you decided to purchase, or you said, oh, somebody, can you buy this for me for my birthday? So you can throw that one in there too.
I think it would be on tape. I'm pretty sure it was MC Hammer, Too Legit to Quit when I was a kid.
Yes.
The Addams Family Values on there. And then probably the first rock one would have been Aerosmith, Get a Grip. Still on tape.
Oh. Awesome. Cale, how about you?
I didn't. I kind of thought I would be the only one with a rap album as their first, but mine was. I used to. My big rebellious streak when I was like 11, 12 or whatever was like we had a TV in our attic that was like hooked up to the cable somehow. And so I'd go up there like after my parents went to bed on like Fridays and Saturdays whenever it would come on and watch Yo MTV Raps after like 11 or whatever. And like I think like the first video, like I enjoyed a lot of it. Like I had an older stepbrother who's like into a lot of hip hop, but like the first thing that really hit me hard was a Ward Tour by Tribe Called Quest. And nice. So Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest is like first album I bought with my own money. Probably first rock album I bought with my own money is like way more hacky. Just never mind, I mean,
oh yeah,
can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no. Sean, how about you?
Man, I'm a little older, so I was actually like a rock and roll freak from like 2 years old.
You were just older. You were like way cooler, way younger than us. So don't.
I learned the live REO Speedwagon record front to when I was like 3 years old.
Oh shit!
I fucking love the art, the colors on it, and
Yeah.
played it. You know, you had your fucking Winnie the Pooh fucking record or whatever. I played fucking shit. So that was like the first record that I remember freaking the fuck out on as a kid, you know. And then, but I remember like there was a certain point where like my dad's friends and stuff realized that I was really into music. They were like, "Okay, cool." So they were like, "We're gonna go to this record store and you can buy whatever you want." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the day of singles. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
picking out fucking Bob Seger Hollywood Nights.
Nice.
This is like
Awesome.
it like I don't even know how old I was when that came out, but I remember having it and just playing it and being like rock and roll, you know.
That's
It
awesome.
wasn't my own money, but it was like someone said, "Hey, you can choose
Yeah.
anything you want," and I was like, "I want this." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. That's awesome.
I remember one time I was like streaming this black metal documentary, like just like arbitrarily, like before I went to bed, and like Sean, it just shows up on it and is like one of the first U.S. black metal bands, member of one of the first U.S. black metal bands. I was like, that's Sean. What the hell? Like what? Like I mean, like I know everything you were a part of, but like it just like it totally threw me off. Like I don't usually run into one of my band members when I fall asleep streaming.
Yeah. So what band was that, Sean?
I was Summon. I was also in Masochist, which is like
I think you were talking about Masochist on this one for a little bit or whatever, or maybe even Lucifer's Hammer.
Oh fuck! You were in Masochist and Summon.
Yep, and also
We probably played a show together because
yeah, man, I smoked all that shit away, so I don't remember a lot of it. Probably did. Like yeah.
I know we did a death fest with Metal Mom, like a pre-death fest, and we played with Masochist. That's fucking awesome.
Masochist was like one of the first like Michigan or U.S. black metal, you know, and it was like the story goes crazy, and I don't want to eat up all this time, but it was like a very elaborate story of intermixing musicians that happened from like Lucifer's Hammer to Masochist to Summon to Black Mountains and like all this stuff like cross, you know, and it became what the scene became, you know, and like man,
that's crazy.
Fucking whirlwind. Like I just remember going to like the first Michigan Death Fest and going, "Oh my god, that's Morbid Angel on stage."
Yeah.
Twice, you know?
Yeah.
I started doing tape trading back then, and it was like it just sparked my love for music, and
that's fucking awesome.
Playing with these,
I feel like when I first came up to the area to go to MSU, like Summon was like really in their heyday, and I remember like it was dumb and like actually a big part of like why I got involved with like the local music scene and stuff is the lack of all ages shows at the time, and just trying to bring that to like the punk scene. But aside from that, like it was just wild, like seeing like the articles like popping up, like you know, Summon interviewed in the City Pulse when they got back home from their like tour of Europe and stuff, and like it just like blew my mind that bands from the area were doing stuff like that. Like really opened me up to the possibility of like what you could do. And like I feel like sometimes like even still, like I mean, I know Sean as well as anything now, like we've been stuck in a van together for like way too long to get starstruck, but like sometimes like when you're hearing the old stories you're just like, god damn, man, really? Like so yeah, no, it's awesome. I've been reading about shit this guy was doing like long before I knew.
That's awesome. So flipping back, Jacob, how about you, man? What was your first album you bought with your money or given?
The first one I can think of was Black Sabbath Paranoid, and it came from hearing Iron Man for the first time and thinking like, so I came from a novelty music background. Like I cut my teeth with like Dr. Demento anniversary CDs and Weird Al and shit like that. And so hearing like Ozzy's voice effect for, you know, I Am Iron Man at the beginning felt like right at home. but then I was like, what is this? I
Have
don't
you seen
get it.
Beavis and Butthead,
But
or was that under?
I missed the boat on that. But yeah, that was the first one, and also just hearing stories about my mom in the 70s going to like disco clubs and just harassing the DJ to play Black Sabbath.
It's crazy the amount of people I know that got into Black Sabbath through Beavis and Butthead. So I always have to ask, myself included. My dad loved all kinds. My dad actually used to play in a band called the Midnight Suns, that like would like open for like the MC5 and the Rationals and
awesome,
and proto like Detroit stuff like that. But he like really like fell off like rock and roll in the 70s. And like at that point it's like the stuff he'd show me in the 70s is like Seals and Croft and like Crosby, Stills,
America.
Nash and Young and stuff, like not bad stuff, but like definitely
it's all
less
good.
rocking. So I kind of had to get into like Sabbath organically, and organically meaning through Beavis and Butthead. But
That's awesome. Hey, Ben, how about you? What was your first album? Still there, Ben? Oh, there you are.
Yep, I'm still here. My first album was, well, I had kind of like Sean. I don't know why I'm so blurry, but
You're fine.
just bear with me here. At least there's not like a Steve Urkel dinosaur behind me anymore. Yes. But it was, I had 45s and stuff too, like Sean did. Mine was a Shirt Tails record player though. But the very first tape that I bought with my own money was me and my buddy went in on and Justice for All on cassette in Lowell for a very, very like short period in time. We had a record store there, and I think we paid like $18 for it on cassette in like 1989. But like before that, it was like I was very lucky to have rock and roll.
Man was fucking
gifted, like
Justice for All. First concert was my mom took me to see Metallica in 1989 for Justice for All. I was like,
nice.
I was like 15 years old.
Awesome.
But yeah, I hear you, dude. I was like in line waiting for that fucking record to come out, man. Like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember staying up at my grandma's house for like the midnight release of the extended version of One. I think it was like a 13-minute or 14-minute video. And then Johnny Got His Gun footage split in, and I didn't go to sleep the rest of that night. I was so pumped up about that, and just the video was so scary. Like when it came out, that I was like, that I have to absolutely find out what these guys do more of this, please.
And I'm curious, since you guys mentioned that album, and then they had the Black Album, because I remember going to a special release for that and being bummed out. So I was just wondering, were you guys bummed out too? Or did you like the Black Album? I don't know. You can like it, but I was sad.
For a couple weeks. I liked it for a couple weeks, and I was like, yeah, this is Metallica, this is awesome. Then eventually it was like, okay, well, I'm missing something here. And I realized that it was a different thing. They were writing more melodies and ballady kind of stuff, and I was like, okay, this is not Ride the Lightning.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's a certain point where I was like, this is great. I'm excited.
Yeah.
New Metallica record. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I don't know, man. And then, Nevermind came out and just fucking fucked everything up, really. They
How Metallica fluent at the time were you, Brad? Because I know, I kind of, they came out of my radar during the Black Album, but I definitely remember seeing that video from Injustice for All and being like, oh yeah, this is way cooler than that stuff. But I was still way too into hip hop to really buy into it.
Black Album's what introduced me to Metallica. That I didn't know anything. Yeah, when I was 11. So I'm of the didn't even know, and then went back, and I still really dig the Black Album. I get why it was such a shift as I got older. But yeah, that was my introduction. Though I first bought I actually never bought the Black Album. I taped it off from Darm and then got a CD in high school. So I always had the copies. So, but I bought Injustice and bought everything else. When they do the extended stuff this fall is the first time I'll buy the Black Album 30 years after it came out, even though it's the one that got me into it.
Nick Darm is the drummer of our first band with Brad and I. So like, yeah, I think he got people like for that band not lasting, he definitely like his influence and his taste and like the stuff he'd kind of him and his brothers would get into definitely influence Brad and I. We also used to practice in a granary out in the country in the band, so it influenced a lot of my hearing loss too.
Awesome. So my other question, which Sean kind of like led right into, is like, what was the first concert you went to?
Yeah, I got to see them in at Pine Knob. It probably was '89 with Kingdom Come.
Yeah,
and
nice.
Yeah, it was the immediate concert that followed after that was the first Michigan Death Fest.
Awesome.
Wow.
Blah 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 to like underground, so I got exposed, and that's where I like blossomed. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that was my whole thing. Was like, you know, I got to see Metallica and go, holy shit, 4 guys can do that. You know, and they made me think that. So going to a death fest where I knew friends of mine that were on stage was like, oh man, I can do that too. You know, that's
cool.
That's awesome.
I got to see bands like, you know, Deceased, and it was an insane set, man. That was there, and it was the cool thing was it introduced me to tape trading and stuff like that too. So it was like that's how I got exposed to the underground and just kept building and building and building, and now it's like where it's at, you know. But man,
yeah, and it's still awesome. It's still going on. I mean, and that was.
All right.
Sorry, buddy.
No, go ahead.
I cut you off. I was just gonna say that you know, that was the cool thing about those shows is that when you look back, like at the time, I did not appreciate the fact that we were seeing some of these bands that are like historic, right?
Yeah.
When you mentioned Deceased and stuff, and it's like, Jesus Christ, they were like at this little tiny stage, you know, right here in Michigan, but it's crazy.
No, I mean, it's all. I didn't think it was gonna be anything like that. I was like, I'm gonna play guitar in a death metal band forever, you know. Like it just they're all my friends. I'm gonna do it forever, and all of a sudden it's just crazy. And like yeah. So for as far as first shows, Metallica, and then seeing the Michigan Death Fest, and I was just done, dude. So
that's awesome.
Where I can go from there, you know. That was really nice.
Yeah,
at that point where I'm at now, really, you know. So
right at that point, you just stop going to shows. Yeah. Like I'm done.
Done, you know. Top that, top, but you know.
Yeah. Brad, how about you, man? What was your first show?
I went to a Frog Island Jazz Festival when I was 13 and 14. I can't remember who all played. I just went with a friend and his dad. But the first rock concert was November 18th, 1995. White Zombie and Astro Creep with the Ramones on their farewell tour. And Super Flip was direct support to the Ramones, and Super Suckers opened. And that kind of cemented.
I was like, you're being way too literal with that jazz thing. I was like, yours is way cooler than all of ours.
That's awesome.
Ramones, Brad.
It like cemented to be able to see, because there was a part of me, it's like, everyone says farewell tours, like the Ramones meant it, and they were all like started dying just a few years later. So that was, you know, they did a year and a half of farewell tour, and that was it. But that cemented when everyone was like punk and metal, like I was like, no, they exist together fine. You know, the Ramones were a huge influence on White Zombie. You know, like the Ramones used to play shows of Black Sabbath, which it would have been phenomenal to have seen one of those shows.
Oh my God.
I never got it. Both genres are underground, you know, the working class people. I never understood why you weren't supposed to like one and not the other. But that kind of comes into Cavalcade, where it's this love of punk and metal, and even like the new wave stuff.
And horror
it's-
movies. We covered Pet Cemetery too, which combined our love of the Ramones and horror movies.
Yeah.
That's another thing
Yeah.
we released over quarantine.
Awesome. So Cale, how about you? What was your first concert?
Oh, I want to know Jacob's first.
Okay, Jacob, go for it.
So I don't remember my first concert.
I would want to know Ben's too, but Ben
Yeah.
kind of
That's typical seventh member behavior right there. But
I'm giving you odds. I'm giving you odds in this cavalcade off
Right.
at the moment.
Right.
I was too young to remember my first concert, but I got to hear all about it later. Was Earth, Wind, and Fire. I was just a little kid on my mom's
Good
shoulders, and it was, I think, a Muskegon Summer Celebration, and I got to hear all about it, after the fact when I developed long-term memory. But besides that, we always had these like concerts in the park, and the Youpers, again, novelty music background. I really liked seeing them because they would have songs about, your Chevy falling apart or it passed you too hard, it breaks a tooth, and shit like that. But then,
Have I told you how the Youpers almost got me in trouble?
no, you haven't, but I have to hear it.
So I worked briefly. I needed an internship to graduate, and I worked in the office of the Speaker of the House because that was like, weirdly enough, that was like the only open position in like unpaid internships at the time I went to my counselor that semester. And so I got placed there, and like they found out that like I would book shows at like Max and Blind Pig and like other clubs around Michigan and stuff, when I was really like trying to like push the all ages stuff and bring that back to the forefront. And so like they're like, here's a $10,000 budget. Could you book the entertainment for this conference in Mackinac Island with all of the speakers of house from all these different state legislatures? Because apparently it's something that happens every year, but it was Michigan's year to host just randomly, like the year that I was an intern there, and apparently the only one equipped to know entertainers. And so like the guy that was the Speaker of the House at the time was from Cadillac, and he was like rural outside Leroy, like, and he was like, I want the Youpers. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, that's easy enough. Like this is way under budget for me, so this is great. So I was about to hire the Youpers, and like my actual boss, like the person that hired me and then I worked under, that was like his, I don't even remember what her role is, but she was, managing me as opposed to him.
Yeah.
And she's like, you tell him they're not available. Like, just like, we are not having dick and fart jokes up there for this event. I'm just like, sorry, Youpers, not happening, I guess.
Oh, man.
I ended up with a lot of speakers. I ended up with Ernie Harwell and Bo Schembechler, which I thought was pretty good for a Michigan thing. But the music options were apparently too contentious. His ask after that was Toby Keith, because he was sponsored by GM or something at the time. And I was like, yeah, he exceeds our 10. That's the only time I've ever been able to book a show with a $10,000 budget. Anyways.
No,
damn it! I wish the
that's amazing. They were regulars of my small hometown of Fremont, Michigan. They played the Baby Food Festival every summer, and nearly every summer. I always hoped that you guys would play the Baby Food Festival, even though I don't think it would ever happen.
Oh my.
Yeah, we got booked there once, but apparently someone's boss told them, you tell them they're not available.
That's how it works in show business.
That's right. So Cale, what about you, man?
So I think like I got dragged to a number of concerts. I had like music loving parents on both sides, and my dad never like really took me out to anything because I think he was a little bit burnout on that. But my mom definitely took me some like Grand Rapids city festivals and things like that. But I don't really remember anything until I saw some concerts in the park when I was in high school with So the park would be in like Adrian. We like grew up in Lenawee County, or went to school down there, Brad, Craig, and I. And like there was a band at the time called Jarvis, and there was another band called Grover, and like they'd play these shows in the park, and like it was like cool, like sort of grunge type stuff. Like it fit in with what was going on in the world right then, and like it was just wild seeing like bands from our neck of the woods that like could hold up to that stuff. And that's when I was like, there's a lot of good bands out there. Like the ones that are like you see on TV or just like chosen by kingmakers or whatever, and that made me like really understand the music world a little bit better. But probably my first one that anyone would recognize outside of Lenawee County would be probably like the Suicide Machines. They were like
Nice.
you know, bigger on the punk side in Detroit at the time. Or I think probably the 97 Warped Tour was like another big one for me. I went with a bunch of punk friends, and I think Craig was there for that one. And whoever took us, like they're parked illegally, and our van got like towed, and like I think we ended up sitting out on the streets of Detroit, like trying to get like the van out of impound until like 6 a.m. the next morning. So it was a pretty strange time. So the Warped Tour time, not remembered quite as fondly as whatever my first Suicide Machines were show was, and whatever my first Adrian Park concerts were. But yeah, those were it's kind of like an amalgamation for me.
Chuck played Adrian before.
I did. I played at some little club with
the Centenary
black and white
fans of Bantam.
Oh yeah, Jim. I evidently saw me there.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Jim, another Lenawee County resident. Like he grew up in Tecumseh. So
yeah.
Did were you aware of Jarvis or Grover at all?
No. So no, we pretty much played like with. We did a lot of shows with Harm's Way. I don't remember, you know.
Oh yeah, Ann Arbor. Oh yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna say they were like an Ann Arbor or Detroit band, weren't they?
Yep. Yeah. They're.
Yes.
Yeah. So we did a lot of shows with those dudes. We did. Do you remember Youth Corpse?
I do.
Yeah. So we did shows with those dudes, and then we did some shows we did a couple with Halloween in Flint,
Dude,
and
Nice.
and Frigid Bitch. Remember Jeff's? Yeah. We played Harpos with Frigid Bitch.
Bob
That
Brown
was
played
really
guitar in the bitch, right?
Cool. Yeah. And Damien
Was it
from
Bob
Toledo.
Brown was a guitar player for that band?
And Frigid Bitch? Yeah.
Tattoo artist guy, right? Tattoo
What was
artist
that
guy?
name? Yeah. Oh, yes. He was.
I know that.
Yes.
I've known that guy for fucking 20 years. Sweet man. Yeah,
Oh, really?
dude. Awesome dude.
Yeah.
It's
So
crazy how many times you and Chuck's paths have probably like crossed throughout the years. That like,
I'm pretty sure I saw Sean at one of these shows because I remember distinctly playing with Matt because my band was not death metal, and we got on these death metal shows, and we were like that band that was like,
God, no where do you get us?
everyone's looking at us going, why the fuck is this band on here? We're like a, speed metal, power metal band, and we're on these death shows, and like, so our bass player was really into death metal. So we added he did some death metal, like backing vocals, to make us maybe feel a little bit, and we could play fast and heavy, but it was not like playing with Demented Ted. I mean, because that was who I remember seeing on one of those shows. It was fucking like, wow, that's fucking
Demented
awesome.
Ted, yes.
Yeah. And Lucifer's Hammer, we played with Lucifer's Hammer, and we played Pre-Death with
Gutted. Gut.
What was the band called again, Chuck?
My band was Battalion.
Battalion.
I was in Hammer, Lucifer's Hammer, back when we did shows all together, way back when. I was the place Jeff
That's
Elrod.
Oh,
Yes.
Really?
And then I went and joined Maskus with Jeff Elrod. I didn't realize you knew who Jeff Elrod was, so this is a different.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
it's crazy.
we can like do something later about this whole other things if you want to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hell yeah, man. We'll have to like go down memory
like,
road, man.
the scene of Michigan.
Yeah.
Remember these dick faces, you know?
Yeah, and then call up Jeff Stefanski,
Yeah.
you know, because he was back in
Yeah.
the day in Fridge a Bitch and shit. So yeah, fuck yeah.
Pretty
It's awesome.
Swiss cheese. So like, man, wouldn't remember you were in battalion at all. But we did a lot of shows back in the day. So cheers.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, cheers, man. So I've got one last question for you guys. And I want to thank you again for being on Fans with Bands. Fucking awesome to be able to spend some time with you guys.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for writing our bio.
It's my pleasure.
I'm happy you liked it, man.
I actually had like a really weird thing back in the day where a lot of the punk bands I know would like ask me for a bio, like, which seems like a really weird thing to ask for. Like, I did write for like the City Pulse and you know, I write for a living and stuff, but it's not necessarily like I set out to write bios. But I used to really like to take ketamine and write band bios. So like there's a whole set of bands that like just have these like tripped out like bios from me and that it just like make no sense. Just like this band sounds like dinosaurs waltzing together and like just like nonsense like that like no one would make sense.
Well, I got to tell you, sometimes when I'm writing reviews or show reviews or album reviews, every once in a while I'll drink a little scotch and channel Hunter S. Thompson and try to get a little of that going on. So if you see any of that in there,
you gotta limber up a little. Like, what is the Big Lebowski quote?
Yeah, like? Exactly. All right. So the last question is, it's controversial, so be prepared. Pineapple on pizza or no pineapple on pizza? Brad.
Pineapple. I just did it Sunday.
Awesome. Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, fucking like let people do the things they want to do. I think it belongs there. If it brings people joy, go for it.
Awesome.
That's kind of a cop out, though. What about you?
What about me? Like, yeah,
like,
okay,
yeah, I
okay,
believe people should be allowed to do it.
Yeah,
Like,
okay. This is
I'm
a free country.
I'm not the pizza Gestapo.
Okay. Well, that's the thing, though, Cale, is I feel that with this question, people adopt a Gestapo mentality. You know, they're just like, if I find out that you put pineapple on a pizza, I'm knocking down your door. I'm taking your family. You know, it's bullshit. So on that level, sure, yes, thankfully we all agree. But for me personally, internally, yeah, I like it fine. I don't seek it out all the time, but like I think salty sweet go well together. And it's honestly, there's so many dessert pizzas that I would sooner, throw out off my balcony. But like I pineapple with like pepperoni, other things, great, sure, love it.
Awesome. Cale.
I'm personally. I'm all for people being able to do it. I'm not trying to stop anyone from doing it. I'm not knocking a piece of pizza out of someone's hand if I see pineapple on it. I think my thing more was like, I'd probably more fine with it now, but like growing up when you kind of like your favorite pizza toppings get calcified, like, I wasn't as big with the salty and sweet combination, but also like, I think my family would order a lot of like everything type pizzas, and like there's a lot of things you could pull off there and it'd still be fine. Pineapple is like one of the few things where it's like, it's fine, I'll just pick it off. No, it tastes like pineapple juice no matter what you do. So I think that's where like most of my hatred comes from, is that like it's a topping that like if people don't want it, they can't just pick it off.
Yeah, you're stuck with it. It's you're doomed.
Oh yeah.
And Sean,
I like options. I like creativity.
There you go. Sean, how about you, man? Pineapple?
Sean? Well, I'm gonna
pineapple.
Speak for me and Craig. I like pineapple already, but man, we figured out a pizza where it's olives and pineapple, and that is the fucking shit. If you're fucking, want to go vegan or whatever the fuck on your pizza, it's fucking good, dude. Really good.
Now, what about, so I've, been asking this question a bunch, and the thing I've heard, which I've not had, and it's kind of intriguing, is jalapenos with pineapples.
I love jalapenos
It's
on pizza.
it's the best of both worlds, right? Like Van Halen.
It's really funny. I saw there's going to be pizza questions for this, so I have to bring this up. Not too long ago, but before the pandemic, we played a show in Lenawee County, which is a rare treat because it kind of has to happen in like a barn or something if you do something down there now.
Right.
But we did, like, we played this huge barn party and it was a great time. But Christian, having grown up here, always is amused by like going down to where we grew up. And it's funny how we talk about like how there's so few businesses in the towns that we grew up, but all of them had like 3 to 5 pizza places. Like no matter what, like town of like 500 people, you're gonna have 3 to 5 pizza places, every single one of them. So like we were talking about the pizza places in Blissfield where the show was, which is where Brad and Craig went to school. And so Craig actually worked at a pizza place called Home Run down there, which is now called something else. But since all these pizza places are still around, Chris is like, let's get pizza from all of them and see what's the best. So like we rolled into the show, like having ordered on the way down, like right when we were like 15 minutes from like all of them, like we ordered a pizza from each of them. And just like line these up in the van. So like all these people like see us getting there and we're just like sampling like not just 3 pizzas, but like 3 pizzas from different places, like trying to decide what's the best currently. Cause you know, they'd both been removed from there in a while too. And we're curious, like if anyone stepped their game up or whatever. So yeah,
awesome.
no, we have fun with pizza when we
Beach.
can.
It was awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. So what was the was there a winner?
Oh,
I don't remember.
It was Lena's, wasn't it, Brad? Like Lena's was Lena's.
I just remember being happy you had all the pizza because of all the beer that was drank, including we found out a keg that they had not. So they had a fresh keg, and there was a second keg that almost tasted. It was very weird, and we're like, "Is it?"
I thought it was a cider keg until someone told me, "Oh yeah, that's the one from 2 years ago. It's been sitting in the barn." I was like, "Why did you tap it? Like what?"
And never
so
kept
gross.
in the fridge. Just literally like just out there for all the elements. So it's the most skunked keg ever, which people were doing keg stands at like 2 a.m, trying to finish that keg. And I'm like, I am so glad because the good keg just went like quickly. And we're just like, that's
Jacob was with us down there for that one.
That was a wild time.
What'd you see when you woke up?
First I saw the roof of the van, and then I quickly, before I realized it, there was a bench outside the barn, and I was just hanging out there trying to like hold on for dear life. And then let's see, my God, what else?
The dog.
Well, yeah, the dog. First of all, okay, I'll walk you through what happened. I woke up and I felt like shit. And then I was like, oh, now I have to take a shit. So there was a porta potty out there, and I like lurch over to it. I get there. There's no toilet paper in there. I'm like, this is not gonna. I can't do this. So I don't know anybody at the house that's near the barn, but I'm like, this is an emergency. They'll understand once I get in there. And I just open the door gingerly, and the dog just starts barking at me relentlessly. And I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And I'm just trying different doors, and the dog is behind like, a child fence. And I got the right door. I made it outside. And I'm on the bench riding it for dear life. And then I puke everywhere. And then the people who are in the house come out and they bring the dog with them. And the dog just makes a beeline for the vomit. And I'm like, please don't. And so now I gotta I'm hungover and I'm trying to keep this dog from eating my puke, but I can't keep him away. He just keeps coming back. What he'll do is he'll walk nearby it and then pretend oh, I've never seen this before. What could this be over here? And just, makes a beeline for the puke.
Are you saying you got tricked by the dog?
The dog is smarter than one could have anticipated.
He's like, it
He's like, I know that
Is
guy's
a pretty schwasty show all around.
Yeah.
the dog's like, I know he's got a belly full of pizza and beer.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys again for being on Fans with Bands. This has been fantastic.
Thanks, Chuck.
You.
Always a good time, man.
Thank you. Thank you. It was good seeing you.
All right. Yeah, it's great to see you guys, man. All right. Thanks again. Thanks again to Cale, Brad, Sean, Jacob, Ben, and Chuck for joining me on this episode of Fans with Bands. Cavalcade is a stellar band, and it was a lot of fun to talk with them and their super fans. Hit up their Bandcamp and Facebook pages to pick up their music and keep track of when you can catch them live. See the show notes for all the details and links. These are tough times for everyone in the creative industries such as music. Your support of live streaming, purchasing music, and merchandise is critical. If you can help out your local artists, please do. If you are in the Michigan area, consider following the Playing in the Detroit Area Tonight Facebook page. It is a place for fans and bands to support each other and share our combined love of music. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to get each and every episode of Fans with Bands. Spread the word by rating the show and leaving a comment. We want to hear what you think. You can keep in touch by following us on social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, be well and kick out the jams.